Hey guys, welcome back to Into the Pit. I'm Hellhound.
I'm Dr. Guts.
And let's talk about Iron Maiden.
Hell
One of
yeah.
the greatest bands of all time. Easily in my top three. Hugely influential and inspirational. They were just, driving force in the new wave of British heavy metal movement after, other bands like Saxon and Angel Witch and, Motorhead and all them. They were definitely an important part of music history, like them or not, metal or otherwise. So many platinum albums and, bestsellers.
Yeah, Maiden is just, they're one of those bands that they're synonymous with metal. When it comes
Exactly.
when you think of metal, you think Metallica, you think Slayer, you think Motorhead, you think Maiden. These are just bands that all come to the forefront, and there's a reason for that. Maiden is one of the greatest bands of all time.
Easily.
Metal or indifferent. I honestly can't say a bad thing, be it from like Paul Di'Anno era, Bruce Dickinson, Blaze Bayley. But either way, Maiden's Maiden. Like we've said before, they're a band of a million riffs and none of them sound the same.
Exactly, yeah. Dave Murray and Adrian Smith are, their solos, their dual leads are just incredible. Face melting. Some beautiful melodies. Founding member and the longest lasting of obviously Steve Harris, pretty much the creative force of the band. His lyrics, his amazing bass lines. He's my favorite bassist, as I've mentioned before.
He's incredible.
Yeah, and his songwriting just superb. It fits Maiden so well. The first two albums, the debut, Iron Maiden, self-titled, and Killers, with Paul Di'Anno fronting the band, are very underrated, in my opinion. And a lot of people think that, Maiden didn't really take off and become successful until Bruce Dickinson joined. That's actually inaccurate. They were still, selling out venues and had all kinds of hits, when he was fronting the band as well. And by hits, I mean, they're selling a lot of records.
Absolutely.
And,
I actually am guilty of that. Not of saying that they weren't incredible when Paul Di'Anno was in the band. I don't listen to the Paul Di'Anno stuff that often. But then recently, since we've been doing this show, you've been talking about it more, I've been picking up the albums more. And just finding how genuinely good they are.
Well, the thing about the Paul Di'Anno albums is they're pretty much great front to back. I hardly ever find myself skipping any tracks. Something, oddly enough, some of the Dickinson albums cannot boast, at least in my opinion. Take Number of the Beast, for example. Everybody's favorite Maiden album, pretty much. It's a great album. Don't get me wrong. It's got Hallowed Be Thy Name on it. That alone is enough to make it a masterpiece.
That song is on a different level.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But there's also a lot of filler on that album and several other Dickinson albums as well. And I'm not saying that the Di'Anno era was by any means better than the Dickinson era. Dickinson is certainly a superior vocalist. His powerful pipes are second to none.
I think Dickinson's more synonymous with Maiden.
Oh, definitely. In fact, when I think of a band called Iron Maiden, I kind of picture a voice, like a higher register anyway. Like, you just think of Iron Maiden. For some reason, I think of like a higher pitched vocal.
More operatic. I mean, what an Iron Maiden is just a medieval torture device. You think of like a medieval kind of higher operatic style of vocal, which Bruce Dickinson has.
But Paul Di'Anno also had a really wide range. A lot of people seem to forget this. He hit the high notes really well as well, and he had a just really powerful voice. Their first albums are a lot more punk influenced, a lot more raw, more gritty. They're all just really young and hungry back then. You could really feel that. It's really infectious when you listen to the albums.
Absolutely.
It really gives you that feeling. One
thing I was going to touch on, what you actually just hit, was how punky the first two albums were. You could tell they were inspired by like early UK punk.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It was still very Maiden, very new wave of British heavy metal, but they did have a very punk aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Di'Anno did these...
The attitude.
He had these singing parts where it was less of the musical singing and more of a punkiness to it. Like it was really like I wouldn't quite say a yell, but definitely a lot punkier than what things like Dickinson has done.
He had kind of a growl too, like at times.
A little bit of rasp to his voice.
Yeah, it was kind of raspy. Like when Dickinson sings Di'Anno era songs, in my opinion, his voice is almost like too powerful for some of them. Like he tries to, he tries to overdo it a little bit, and nobody can do those early Maiden songs like Paul Di'Anno could. Like take Strange World, for example, one of the most beautifully written harmonious, emotive performances I've ever heard. Deanna just really shines on that song. And others like Remember Tomorrow and
Phantom of the Opera.
Prodigal Son. Yes, he has a great, there's a great segment in that song where he really hits those high notes and really sounds really, really amazing.
Absolutely. One album I want to talk about real quick that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Oh, I agree. I love that album.
I love that album so much. It seems like every Maiden discussion I hear is about like either the Paul Di'Anno stuff or going into like Number of the Beast, things like that. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son doesn't get talked about that often.
Yeah, it really doesn't. You're right. It's kind of underrated in a way. I think their first 7 albums were just pure gold. Like it was just hit after hit after hit. And I also really like No Prayer for the Dying and Fear of the Dark. I understand that it was a little bit of a decline.
That's not their quality.
When they got into the 90s, I love them. I think Fear of the Dark in particular is very underrated.
The title track is incredible.
Yes, Fear of the Dark, the song. Oh, yeah. And wow. Like, there's a little bit of filler here and there, but I think it's very, very underrated. A lot of people say that's their worst album. I highly disagree.
I would disagree.
Their weakest album, in my opinion at least, is Dance of Death. Face in the Sand is a good song, but other than that, I think that was easily the
weakest song.
The weakest link in Maiden's discography, and especially since it followed Brave New World, that was a huge letdown. Matter of Life and Death was definitely an improvement, and I thought that Final Frontier and Book of Souls weren't too bad. I thought they were pretty good.
I actually really liked Book of Souls. I remember when they were all the build up for the album was really cool. The way they did things, they had like a little animated short that kind of went along with everything. I thought it was really cool, really well done.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was definitely competently made. But my favorite album is probably a toss up between Peace of Mind and Power Slave. I honestly can't decide between the two. They're both so good. Power Slave would be perfect if not for Back in the Village. That song is basically filler, and they could have cut it out of the album, which is already pretty short anyway, and it wouldn't have hurt it at all. But then again, as you pointed out before in our second video we did, Rain of the Ancient Mariner is such a long song that it more than makes up for it.
Yeah, and probably my favorite song on the album is Flash of the Blade.
Oh, yeah.
I actually think that's probably the most aggressive Maiden song, at least I can think of right now. It's an incredibly aggressive song, especially for an operatic band like Maiden.
Oh, God, yeah. It's amazing. Of course, Peace of Mind has, The Trooper, Flight of Icarus, and Die With Your Boots On. Phenomenal. Also, really, really love Somewhere in Time. Oh, gosh, yeah, that album is just, when I first heard it, it just blew me away. It opens with, Wasted Years is a pretty good song, but I don't think it gets really good until Stranger in a Strange Land. And, this album kind of goes on. Oh, man, it just...
I can see that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those albums that just kind of ramps up.
Yeah,
and it just gets better as it goes.
Exactly.
It's one of those things where you're waiting to see what happens next.
Yep.
Which that's a mark of a quality album right there.
For sure. And of course the artwork inspired by Blade Runner is, where Eddie is like a kind of a cyborg. That was just freaking awesome. Definitely one of the best Maiden artworks up there with Killer's Number the Beast.
Yeah, I love the way they do their artwork too. It's always some incarnation of Eddie doing something. That's just cool. That's awesome. Everybody loves Eddie. You have to love Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie's the coolest mascot in music. His metal or otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, he's Eddie. He's on every single one of their album covers. He's gone through so many different forms. He's been a zombie, a pharaoh, a mummy, a cyborg, a freaking tree.
And you have bands like Megadeth who tried with like Vic Rattlehead. But it's not Eddie.
He's my second favorite. He's pretty cool too, but nobody can
Eddie
come close to Eddie. I mean, come on. That'd be cool to see them in a fight. Eddie versus Vic Rattlehead.
A mascot battle.
Yeah. They'll have Snaggletooth from Motorhead and Seth Abominate from Iced Earth and all the others. Not Man from Anthrax. Iron Maiden, their iconic album covers are a huge part of it. In fact, that's what drew me to the band in the first place. I saw their album covers, the horror-inspired artwork, mostly drawn by Derek Riggs, and then later on Melvin Grant. It just really, caught my eye, and I was like, wow, I've got to give this a listen. And I did, and I was very pleased. The first album I bought, as I've mentioned, is Number of the Beast, and I think I listened to it too much. I find that, album a little overrated. Yes, it is my favorite of their first 7 albums, which I've said countless times before. And, that doesn't make it a bad album by any means. And a lot of people consider it the best, and I can certainly respect that. I can see that. It was their last album with Clive Burr before Nicky McBrain replaced him behind the drum kit.
For me, I'd say it's easily one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just one of those albums. It's so iconic, and even with the filler on it, I think there is so much quality stuff on it
definitely.
that for me it just stands above the rest. I think maybe the only album I would rank higher is Power Slave.
Oh, definitely.
I just love Power Slave so much, but Number of the Beast is incredible.
It really is.
What got me into Maiden, I heard Run to the Hills and I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
The first time I was younger. Now I'm like, oh, Run to the Hills is awesome.
Run to the Hills is great. I love the way it starts out. I love that opening riff and the way the vocal melody is. It's like a little too like happy, a little too upbeat for my taste.
Yeah.
But I still like it. It's still good. I love the part where he's like Dickinson's like getting louder and louder with his vocals. Like goes that high note. He's like, oh.
Yeah. That's my favorite part of the song for sure. But when I first heard it, I was younger and I was like, man, it's okay. But then probably the same week actually, I ended up hearing The Trooper.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's actually what pulled me in. I was like,
oh, hell yeah.
Wow, this is incredible. Because it came from that riff, like the intro riff, and then it has that lead that comes in over top of it. Mm-hmm. It's such a weird rhythm, and it's just so catchy and so it's a quality, incredible song, and that instantly hooked me on Maiden. Then I listened to the whole album, listened to Die With Your Boots On, all that stuff, and it just instantly pulled me in to loving Maiden.
That's a great one to start with.
Absolutely.
For sure. And then I discovered the kind of their back catalog, I guess you could call it, and I discovered the first two albums of Paul Di'Anno, and like after hearing every metalhead say, "Oh, Dickinson's is so much better," they didn't find their sound until they got him. Di'Anno sucked. I was like, my expectations weren't that high, and I listened to him. I was like, "Are we listening to the same albums?" I was like, "Are you like these are great? These are awesome." And so I love Paul Di'Anno. I think he's underrated, and I'll defend his voice, till the day I die. I think he's very underrated. Now, when Dickinson left after Fear of the Dark, they had two albums fronted by Blaze Bayley. They had Virtual 10 and, The X Factor, and then Virtual 11. Sorry, I messed that up. Blaze Bayley. See, the thing is, around the same time, like in the 90s, Judas Priest, Rob Halford, their iconic vocalist, my favorite singer of all time, left. And they got Tim Owens, who, was young, and he had an extremely powerful voice. He could hit those high notes like it was nobody's business. Some even say he had a more powerful voice than Halford, which could be true, but of course I'll always prefer Halford. He's just a huge part of Priest's classic sound. And Tim Owens, wasn't as great of a songwriter as Rob was, of course. And so, here Judas Priest is. They got an amazing singer, a great replacement for Halford, and Iron Maiden got Blaze Bayley. I mean, some of the tracks are okay. Future Real, I think, wasn't that bad, but oh man, he was just so limited. Like after you went from Dickinson to him, like oh my gosh, even Di'Anno is way had a way higher, way wider range. And Blaze Bayley was just so low and limited. He was just like the David Lee Roth of metal.
It felt weird going from the Air Raid Siren to Blaze Bayley. I mean, maybe I could give him more of a fair shake if he wasn't in the same band that Bruce Dickinson fronted, but
he was good in Wolfsbane. The band he was in before that, Wolfsbane's actually pretty underrated. I think they were actually pretty good. He was good when he fronted them.
I've never even listened to him.
You should check him out. They're not bad, but he definitely wasn't a good fit for Maiden. And, when Bruce and then of course Adrian Smith left before No Prayer of the Dying, replaced by Yannick Gears, who's another great guitarist. His solos are definitely the highlight of those two albums, No Prayer for the Dying and Fear of the Dark. And then when Dickinson and Adrian Smith came back on Brave New World, obviously they didn't want to kick Yannick Gears out, so they ended up having three guitarists. And usually, to watch like a live performance, usually like two of them are doing like the dual lead, like one of them's playing rhythm. But it fits really well. It always reminds me of this band I was in when this other guy wanted to join a guitar, and I was like, 3 guitarists is a little much, and they said, Iron Maiden has 3 guitarists, and my response, of course, was, we're not Iron Maiden. And so, I think they all play really well together, and it further enhances their sound, having the 3 guys, the 3 axemen. Dave Murray's one of my favorite guitarists of all time, easily in my top 5. His solos and leads are just nothing short of incredible, just mind-blowing.
And for me, actually, Adrian Smith's one of my favorite guitarists.
Him too.
I love Adrian's leads. I love the little breaks he does over top of the riffs.
Oh yeah.
Incredible. Plus his riffs are always just so unique, and they always sound inspired. I mean, they've been playing for how many years now, and they still sound inspired.
Exactly.
Which is incredible. It's unfathomable. Like if you listen to like, if you think of other bands who have been doing it as long, like, say, like, Sabbath, for instance, like, compare, like, Book of Souls to, what's the album they put out, 13?
13.
Like, compare those two. Like, it's not even
Exactly.
a comparison.
No
like,
contest.
There's bands that have been doing it that long, I don't see how they can hold that level of passion and creativity, but Maiden has done it.
Eventually. Metallica. Sorry, I had to...
Clear your throat there?
Yeah.
But, exactly. Like Metallica, for instance, they had so much steam, and then it all just kind of pittered out. But Maiden hasn't done that. Maiden's been consistently a good band throughout the discography.
They've had some misses, here and there.
They've hit some speed bumps.
Yeah, but overall, it's been,
they're kind of like, it's kind of reminiscent of Overkill. Overkill's one of those bands who, since they've started, they've been doing it since '81, have been a consistently incredible band and haven't let up. They've still put out some of the best material they've ever put out.
Still sounds great today. You can still roll as high. This is a great thrash vocalist.
And again, they had one, was it I Hear Black? Is that what it's called? Something like that. That was meh. It wasn't really an Overkill album, didn't sound like it.
Yeah.
But then after that, they instantly came back and started pushing this crazy stuff.
Yeah, their newer album's been good. Immortalis and Ironbound, been solid.
Yeah, it's been quality albums. And that's how I look at Maiden. Just as a band that, whenever I hear there's a Maiden album coming out, I'm excited. I'm like, oh, cool, Maiden album. Let's check it out.
Probably for something good.
I'm going to get something that'll stick with me for a while at least.
Exactly, if nothing else, yeah. But yeah, Dance to Death was a weak album. They definitely could have done better than that. And they've set a very high standard. And more often than not, they live up to it.
Yeah, I mean, and like to top it off, you have Dickinson who flies their jet now.
Yeah,
like, that's awesome.
Flight 666. Yeah.
and it literally flies them from place to place. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You get flown around by the air raid siren himself.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome stuff.
What do they call it? Ed Force One or something?
Yeah, Ed Force One. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep, it's awesome. Maiden, they will forever be iconic. Yeah. They will forever go down in history as one of the greatest metal bands of all time, as well as one of the greatest bands in general of all time.
Yeah, metal or otherwise. And yeah, Adrian Smith, I gotta praise him up just a little more. He's a great songwriter too. He wrote "Stranger in a Strange Land." There's a lot of compositions that he did, and Dave Murray as well. He did that song "Deja Vu," which is really good. But yeah, Adrian Smith, he was a perfect fit for the band.
Absolutely.
And even when he was absent, Yannick Gears was a great replacement.
Yeah.
He was amazing, but it didn't really feel quite right without him. And he joined on Killers. Before that, they had Dennis Stratton on second guitar. And then, he left. It was like every album, the first 4 albums, they had a new member each time. Dennis Stratton left, replaced by Adrian Smith. Clive Burr left, replaced by Nico.
Deanna left.
Deanna left, replaced by Dickinson. Yeah, there's always like a new member in their first 4, each time. And but Dennis Stratton was good, but Adrian Smith was such a perfect fit for the band. It just wouldn't be the same without his amazing songwriting and stellar riffs.
He literally is what you said, a perfect fit. He is everything they needed, and he is kind of what makes Maiden, him and Dickinson's high-end howls. There's just
it's made for each other.
Yeah, it's perfect. It melds so well together.
Exactly.
It just makes Maiden what they are. I mean,
and then the passionate rhythms of Steve Harris and Nico McBrain, and you have one powerhouse of a band.
Absolutely.
Is there any albums we didn't mention?
I
think we at least mentioned.
I feel like we talked about each one. Maybe not. If not, let us know.
I think we at least name dropped each one. Even the Blaze Bailey album.
We at least stuck them in there somewhere.
X Factor and Virtual 11 were in there.
So I mean, I guess that's everything we have to say about Maiden.
Yeah,
they're Maiden.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Iron fucking Maiden. That's
absolutely
all you need to say. Up the irons.
Absolutely.
Long live Maiden. One of the best bands ever.
And we will see you next Wednesday for another video. Be there. Stay metal.
Exactly. And that next video might be a little better than this one, because we're both really tired and hungry, so... if it seemed like we were made a little off at times, I apologize. But,
nah, it's cool.
It's all good. It's Iron Maiden. Keep it metal.
Oh, yeah.